Joe Rogan has finally admitted that the litter boxes in School Story was fake and there is no proof.
And it's shocking that Joe Rogan would go so far as to do something that is exactly contrary of his shock jock personality. This is him coming out and basically clearing the air and saying this is what he originally said. My friend, his wife is a school teacher and she works at a school that had to install a litter box in the girls' room because there's a girl who's a furry who identifies as an animal, and her mother badgered the school until they agreed to put a litter box in one of the stalls. Now, he went on to say other things that were gross and disgusting, and basically just being completely not even kind in any way, shape, or form. But the fact is that he got completely mocked online for telling this, and that his friend's wife didn't actually work at the school he was thinking of when he told the story. He said, I don't think they actually did it. I think there were discussions about doing it because there was one particularly wacky mother, but it does not seem that there's any proof that they put a litter box in there. He then claimed that he once heard that someone wanted to use a litter box in a hotel in Pittsburgh 10 years ago, which made him believe that the rumor about the schools was true. Now, there's a lot of explanation going around on where the litter box theory has come from, and that sacks of litter, this is what's being added to the story. Sacks of litter were purchased by schools or by teachers and kept in classrooms for an active shooter incident where students would not be able to leave the classroom for fear of being attacked. And so they kept the litter in the classroom so that students would have a place to go for the restroom without having to leave the safety of their shelter. Now, whether or not that's true, I can't verify. All I can say is that the litter boxes in the classrooms has been categorically proven to be a myth. And this is still the world's worst game of telephone that has ever existed.
Yeah, we'll see if Rogan's admission here of that it was a falsehood, a complete and utter fabrication, if that does anything, or if we still continue to hear it. I suspect we'll still hear it. But
Yeah,
we'll
because politicians love a good talking point. And this is one of the best talking points in the world because politicians know that their average voter is not going to go look up this information to prove them wrong.
Mhm. Yeah, I've fallen into the rabbit hole of commenting on our responding to YouTube comments, and there's a lot of we don't get the litter box thing very much, thankfully, but the other false narrative comes up a lot of kids getting mutilated.
Mhm.
Children being mutilated by gender affirming care is one that is rampant out there. We
Oh,
get
yeah.
tons of comments about that, and so
Yeah, and that's a talking point because politicians know that people are not going to bother to go look up the science. What has happened is, again, this is telephone only in a more dangerous way. We have conservative, far right, and Christian nationalist groups who are generating a narrative about mutilation of kids that is then passed on to politicians who use it in their talking points during the election cycle. They know people are not going to bother to fact check them in those election, campaign stump speeches that they do. They know that people are not going to fact check them and be able to overcome the noise of the news cycle. So they are okay knowing that this is all false and that there is no evidence to this, but they want to continue to spread it
mhm.
because they know that the average voter is not going to bother to check this information on their own.
Well, and that's why we see them. We see Republican politicians a lot of the time bringing out some kind of, talking about a bill that they want to put forth or some kind of law that they want to enact to abolish something, to ban something that seems outlandish and ridiculous and nobody believes it's happening, but it sort of causes that question, right? And that's what they're
Mhm.
trying to do by creating these things. I'm forgetting the example. There was something, I think it was in Texas, that we covered a couple months ago, but we've seen it time and time again where there's some kind of crazy thing that they're trying to ban. It's like, is that really happening? I don't think it is, but just the fact that they're trying to ban it suggests to people that yes, it is happening, and not only is it happening, it's happening on an epidemic scale. And
Yeah,
that's how we see things of like Virginia banning transgender kids in school sports when they have one trans kid registered that is playing sports in the
exactly.
entire state.
Yeah, they're creating problems where there are none so that they can imagine a solution that they can't really do anything about.
Mhm.